Hello, everybody. So we're going to pick up from yesterday, and I was thinking about, I apologize, I should have done the blocks off stream because that was very boring and pointless. And I could have done all of those off stream and not put you guys through that, but I didn't think about it till later. I thought it would go quick, and then decided not to use meshes, and then it got very slow and pedantic, and I could have done that later. But we are going to do fun stuff today. So let's look at my old Halo, and it's not going to be tied into the geometry of this new template file, but let's just look at it real quick. It doesn't matter. Do this for all of them, whatever. Okay, so my old template was based on lofts. We would have a bottom surface and a top surface, and then over here we would have we would control the shape of those. And I really like a loft over I think most people would make a Halo with a sweep one. And the problem with a sweep is I could make this template work for a marquee shape. When you get down to this tight corner, a sweep would probably break here, because anytime you sweep, I'll just make a curve that gets really tight. Okay, anytime you have this really tight point in a corner, and then you try and put a rail on it. Let's see, where am I? Turn points on. So right here on that line, I'll just put a circle. Set that down to the end of there. Nope. The end of there. And we do a sweep one. You've got self-intersection happening here, right? And that self-intersection will give you a bad mesh. It gives you kind of a lumpy. You usually have, see how many extra iso curves there are right here. You can see the self-intersection really clear there. Yeah, I don't like using sweeps in a template because we really can't control tight corners with it. And so I generally go with a loft in a template, but this just gets too messy too quick, I think. Yeah, I think it just gets too messy too quick. So we're going to try it with a loft, and maybe I'll just call this, or we're going to try it with a sweep one, and maybe I'll just call it roundish, and I'll make another one with lofts if I think of a better way to do this. We'll make another one with lofts if I can figure out how to easily be able to edit that tight corner. So I'm going to go and do new file, because we don't want any of that. And we'll get started. So the first thing we need is the profile for it. And I can just take and insert a, let's see, a prong set brilliant that's 6 millimeters, because that's kind of average for what we do with a Halo, and bring that up. Actually, let's do it from the top of the stone. So from the top of the stone, we want it to be 6 millimeters over the finger. Okay, maybe 5.5. All right, so now we are 5.5 millimeters over the finger, very close to, and that is probably a standard Halo. And then over here, we need to draw our profile. So I'm going to do a just going to do a regular control point curve, degree 5. And we want to come down here from the girdle about 0.2 of a millimeter. Right about there. And we need to make sure this is well, it'll be straight to here. So right about here, we need to add some extra control points in just to make sure we get that corner. And then we want to follow down to that point and do, let's see, that's a 0.5 millimeter shelf right about there. And then we can start turning it away. And come down to here, turn another corner. I'm just going to make it squared up at first, and then we'll come and give it a little bit of a slant. Doesn't matter where this is, I'll fix it later. Maybe one. We don't need that point. Okay. And then we want just a straight line for the actual surface of it. So if we think, the most common stone in the world is a 1.3 millimeter. And so let's do, actually, I like this. Let's do 0.15. So we have a edge there. And then let's do 1.3. And then let's do, let's have a milligrain edge. So let's do 0.5 millimeter on the end. Okay. So we've got that, and that. And I hate a flat, halo. You don't just make it like this, you rotate it down. So let's say this is going to be, turn O snaps off. So let's say a 10 degree angle. And then we need to make this meet up with that. So we can say set X to there. Turn the points on so they stay. Set Z to there. And then we want to offset this. We need a minimum thickness for our halos. I like using 1.5. Okay. And we'll take and put this onto our 0 layer. So we have a visual reference of 1.5 millimeters off of where we set the stones. Now, if we need to change this, we can resize. So this is the size of our stone length. That's 1.3. Okay. We can grab this end and align to the, I just changed my gumball alignment to that. So if we need to do 1.2, we can say minus 0.1, and now it's set up for a 1.2 millimeter stone. We can do plus 0.4 if we want a 1.5 millimeter stone. And then we would just move all this to the end of it. Okay. Could actually grab like all of this. If we were using this for real, we could grab all of that and then do align gumball to there, match the angle. And if it's a 1.3 and we want to go to 1.5, we say 0.2, and that'll move the whole thing out. Yeah, we just window swipe that whole thing. And now for this, we kind of want to match this angle. Layer 0 is not locked. Let me lock it. We want to kind of match this angle. So at this point, it's just a matter of tuning up these points. We make this come down. We want this to taper in, and we can control how quickly that tapers in probably should add a control point in the middle here. Insert control point on this curve with this midpoint. Okay, so now we can taper this in, and that works. We don't want that to be lumpy. If we have a different angle for our girdle, we can rotate this, which I probably should take these points and rotate up just a little bit. Actually, just take this one and then bring these down. And I may not want that control point at all. Delete that control point. So we can have something like that. So those two will control the bulge of this edge. These two will control how sharp that corner is. That'll be another bulge. How sharp the corner is. We want a tight corner here. Want a tight corner there. And then we have a spacer, the size of the stone, and another spacer. And so we can just start with the inside and work our way out. And I think 0.2 might be not enough amount of space. So let's bring it down another 0.1 minus 0.1. Let's do 0.4 off the girdle. And so we can just bring this back over and bring this up to match our thickness guide. Now, one of the ways we can get around, and I think I'm going to do this to get around having a tight, too tight of a turn. If we move this, I want to try to make this work for Princess, Marquise. Not going to work for a pair because a pair, we're going to build this with biaxial symmetry, and a pair only has uni-axis. But Marquis has biaxial. Most stones have biaxial except pairs. And we don't build a lot of pair halos. I don't work with a lot of pairs. I assume most of you don't either. Okay, so I'm going to make a layer, and we're going to call this Halo Z. And I'm adding that Z because when we drag it into a file, we might have a layer called Halo. And this is just so there won't be a name conflict and it won't get automatically added to a layer with a bunch of other stuff. And I'm going to set this onto the control. Okay. I'm going to grab all of this and say join copy. Join copy is a way of joining curves without breaking history. So it'll be easy to edit, and then give us one output curve that matches, that we can set onto curves. And now we need our rails. So to give this the best shot of working, we're going to do a sweep 2. We're going to have an inside rail and an outside rail. And I'm going to turn off cutters because I don't like seeing that extra line on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to go over to our library. I'm going to grab a join copy. Do I want a by degree 5 or a by degree 3? Degree 3 would give us a little tighter corner. Let's try it with a degree 3, and then If we don't like it, we can always go back to a degree 5. So I'm going to bring this in, import file. Okay, and this needs to, all of this, we are going to rotate 90, and then bring this, we'll say set Z, and I want it up above the stone. And then drag this from this guide up to that guide. And organize this onto layers. So this is going to go onto control. Oh, nope. That is going to go onto curves. That is our control. And it's junk out here. Let's go ahead and turn Grandpappy off so I don't see him. We're going to set that onto Halo junk and turn our junk off. Before I do that, I want to grab one more of these. That and that. Copy, paste, and then turn the junk off. Okay, so now I have two of these here. One's going to be the outside edge. I'm going to grab both of them and edit at first to get this into a round shape. And I'm going to make this control points only. So I'm going to right click down here on control points. So now the only thing I can select in this file is the control points. Oh, and we can get a guide for this. Let me insert a circle that is 6 millimeter. And we'll turn on curves for a second. So that 6 millimeter circle, we'll just take and put it above what we're doing here. And for that circle, I'm going to rebuild. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3 times 4. We've got 12 points, degree 3. 12, preview. Okay. And then we're going to leave these points on and lock that curve. Lock. And now go back to just being able to touch control points. And so if I grab this and say set XY, I can use that as a guide. Oh, I've got two of these. I should window select. Okay. So I just used that real quick just to make a guide, and you can do that anytime. You just count how many points you have minus this one, right? Because those two are going to be the same once it's mirrored around. So we've got 3 points times biaxial times 4, and then we can put that guide into place. So I'm going to right click on control points again. Well, actually, you can just right click twice on disable and it will reset everything. I'm going to unlock that guide curve and let's scale this 2D, scale 2D from 0 from that edge to that edge. And then we can grab one of these curves, scale, and it should be the same thing. So that scale we just did, that's saved in there, I'm just going to right click to use the same scale reference. And now if we look from the top, this curve now matches our guide curve, which matches the outside edge of the halo. So we are done with that. We have those two shapes. I'm going to turn off control, and then we're going to do a sweep 2. And that's our inside rail, our outside rail, and our curve. And do not change cross sections. We want maintain height. Well, we've only got one here, but if we had two, we would want to maintain the height. So we're always going to be the same thickness. Just scale the here's where this is going to play in. Let's say I have I'll put that onto the surface layer. Now let's turn off curves, lock surface, and turn on control. So we've got these control points, and let's say they say I want this to be I want a round stone with a cushion halo. Okay, so I would turn on these points, and to make this more cushiony, I would grab these guys and rotate, hold down control and rotate just the handle, and then I would move the handle somewhere out here, and then I would scale. Okay, and if it's too tight, we can relocate the gumball to here, and whoops, why did that jump up so much? But now we have a, go to shaded view. You know, we can make this have as much, as tight of a point as we want. To give it a cushion shape without risking having too much of a, oh, but that makes a mess on the inside. The inside stayed round. So this is what I hate about sweep. The inside of it should stay on this curve. The outside of it should go to that. Okay, so sweep 2 is not going to work. Every time I try and go and use sweep, like it just messes up. What we can do revolve and rail revolve, and just scale the parts that we want to scale. Which would mean we would have 2 surfaces, not 1, but we could control the inside shape and the outside shape separately. Better if I use loft. The macro for relocate gumball. So I just realized I didn't have my little on-screen keyboard to show you the things that I was doing. But when I relocate gumball, it is a command on my mouse. So when I do it, this is, well, let me grab something. So that is a quick command that typed in gumball relocate, which if I go to tools options, aliases, or is it a shortcut? Do I have it under keyboard shortcuts? Keyboard, let's see. So pop up my toolbars I've taken off of WASD, but with a control. So if you look at control A, pop up toolbar left, control S, pop up toolbar main. But for the gumball, let's see, what do I have that on? Here it is, control Q, gumball alignment, C-plane view. Gumball relocate is control F. So I have a hotkey, control F, that is mapped to relocate gumball. And I took away my control S because there was stuff on most of these, like Control J is join, but I have it on my little pop-up menus, so I use that instead. I don't know. Does that answer the question? I took away my Control S because the way I do things, I don't want to accidentally save a file. I want to have to type in save, save as, save small, save as template. I want different... I don't want to hit Control S out of like muscle memory. So I took away that one on purpose. The rest of them I just kind of wasn't using anyway. Like I always use join, Control J. I always use group, Control G. I don't use those hotkeys. Okay, so sweep is not going to work. Let's break this into two, and then we can do rail revolve. So I'm going to delete that, and this curve, I'm going to delete that. And let's draw a line, turn off project, draw a line from that point down. So I want to split this template, split this control into two halves. So I'm going to have a join copy for one side and a join copy for the other side. Actually, I want this line to be on our first spacer because I don't want to change that space. I want to scale the stone. So like if I want to do a cushion halo around a round stone, I still want this to be fixed with this width, right? So I'm going to say set X to that point. And this is where I want to split these curves into two. I want to have this guy and this guy, and part of this scaling wider to come and touch this outside curve. But then this needs to be on this line. Otherwise, the rail revolve won't work. So this 0.15 spacer, let's okay, let's bring our stone back out. And I'm going to say offset 0.15 and put that onto our stones spacer layer and go ahead and lock that. So it's just a visual guide. This, I'm going to move that over to here and then say set X and find that quad. There's that quad. Okay. This point, I'm going to grab, turn points on. Grab that. I need to turn these points on. Turn those points on. So I want to grab everything over here. And I'm going to align gumball there, 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 and just move it out of the way. And then turn snappy gumball on and drag until I touch. Okay, so now this is no longer 0.15, it's a little bit more because it's 0.15 to here, which is fine. But this is going to be our breaking line where we change from one revolve to the other revolve. Now, how do we maintain symmetry down here? I don't see an easy way of maintaining symmetry. I mean, we have this, we can just manually put it there, but that's just kind of a pain. Let's split this. Split. Okay. And then we've got a lot of extra control points we don't need. So these always need to be in a straight line, which I guess we can just say, so this is the X direction and the Z. So I want to set X, Z, and I can pop that to there, and somewhere on this curve. And then we have tangency between this curve and that curve. And I'll turn snappy dragging back off. I feel like there's a way I can automatically do this, but I'm not sure how at the moment. But this and this, we do a join copy. And then everything on the outside, we do a join copy. And grab those two curves and put them onto our curves layer. Set layer curves. I'm going to turn off the control. And now we are going to do a rail revolve. This guy I'll probably delete. I won't make it part of the template. I'll just know I need to put that spacer on so I don't start the stones underneath unless I want to. Sometimes you end up tucking stones underneath. You just need to bring it down a little bit more so you have enough metal. You know, the farther you bring this down, the wider this part gets. So you can not use this space if you want and have the girdles of the stone tuck underneath, but then you're really going to eat up the back of your prongs. So you need more height. You can't put it as close to here without that space. But as you go down and have this stone sit more proud, you'll have more metal underneath the stone where you can tuck those girdles in. So I don't think that should be part of the template. That'll be a game time decision if we want to move this whole thing over. But let's go ahead and do our revolve now. So I need to add one more. I don't need a curve because this is always going to be on 0. But it's a template. It's always going to be on 0. If you move it off of 0, then you'll just have to do something else. So we're going to say rail revolve. And the profile curve is this one. The rail curve is this one. And the rail axis is that. Okay, so now as that goes to a oval stone, turn on control. So if we make this more of an oval stone, that'll follow. That'll get that angle will become, you can see this angle follows the stone, but this angle is going to be a little bit more shallow, like the farther we bring this out. That angle just becomes more and more shallow as we get farther and farther away from the stone. And then for this side, is this going to work? This needs to scale out, scale 2D from 0. And that curve is currently there, and it needs to match up with there. So we're going to use this to trace our offset. Now this curve is in line with this. That curve matches up with that. So the inside of it is going to scale. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it. Rail revolve, profile curve is this one. Our rail is this one, and our axis is here. And it's not going to match up. I feel like I just figured this out the other day, and now I can't. Or is this the sweep 2? We do a rail revolve for the inside and a sweep 2 for the outside. Maybe that's what I figured out the other day. Sweep 2, rail 1, rail 2, curve. Okay, that was it. So you can use a sweep 2 to scale the outside of this while using this inside rail, and as long as they match up right here, now we can have separate scaling. And I feel like this works, but I'm going to have a hard time remembering like exactly how sweep 2 and rail revolve scale these. And if I have a hard time remembering it, other people are going to have a hard time remembering it. That is not ideal. But this will make it let us do this. Let's see if we can do a princess cut with it. So I'm going to put a rectangle in here, and we're going to make it a 6 by 6. Okay, and then drag this up above, offset by 0.15, offset corner sharp 0.15, and lock those guys. Turn on our control points and lock to control points. Okay, so set these guys, set the X to there. These guys set the Y to there. And then we can grab those in the corner and scale 2D there and just tighten this up as much as we want it to be. And, oh, let me unlock this guy and say we want 1.3 millimeter stone. So we do another offset 1.3 and lock those guys back. Go back to, oh, I got to turn control points on before I, control points on, and lock to control points. Do the same thing here, set X to there, set Y to there, and then scale 2D to make this as tight as we want it to be. So yeah, we can change that, and I don't see any self intersection. Let me reset my selection filters, turn that off. and look real close at this corner and that corner. So the scaling is working. We are getting those two different kinds of scaling. Oh, and I offset that by 1.3, but then I need the extra 0.5 millimeter lip for the edge, which I can just scale 2D on these from 0. Oh, I grabbed too many things. Scale 2D, it will remember what I just used for my scale point. So I'll just right click to accept what it was last time. So now it's 1.3 with that extra 0.5 millimeter lip. Thanks. That works. It's a little more confusing than I'd like for it to be, but it works and it's simple, and I think we just go with it. So I'm going to undo to reset back to here, and we need to get off of that cushion. So I can just scale this. Scale copy off of 0. This point to that point. Turn those points on and use them as a guide block. And set XY to there, set XY to there. And now we've got just a standard round halo. And unlock that guide we just used real quick and delete it. All right, so this goes on to, we'll group these two together and put them onto surf. That we don't want to save, and I don't want to save that stone. Unlock spacer, delete the spacer. Okay. So this is what I want to save. We can turn off junk, turn off curves, and we have just our control points. This guy, I kind of want him to be out of the way, but and I don't really need to use them because I've made this fixed. So I don't need the extra steps of the magic mirror here. So we're just going to delete those and delete that. And just do our join copy thing here in the center. We don't need that magic mirror. So this, we just want to do mirror across the Y, mirror across the X, or mirror across the Y. And then we're going to do these one at a time so we can maintain the same same seam. It works better when you do it one at a time. We're going to do polyline and then grab that polyline and say curve through polyline. And we're going to do degree 3. That goes on to curves. And then this is our control. Grab all of that, group it, and put that onto junk. just left with the control. Now do this outside one. Join copy. Join copy. Select new. Curve through polyline. Degree 3. That goes onto curves. And this goes on, group it and put it onto junk. Now with our curves, we'll do the same thing again. So this is going to be a rail revolve. Rail revolve. I just did revolve. Rail, revolve. Start of rail. I'll select rail. This guy. And our axis is here. And then this one is going to be a sweep 2. Sweep 2. Boom, boom, boom. Group those, set to surface. And then we can lock the surface. Well, not yet, but okay. Now, the next thing I need is a ISO curve. So I'm going to extract ISO curve from here on that midpoint, because this is the length of our stone. So an ISO curve on the midpoint is how we are going to do the stone layout. So under stones, I'm going to put a new sublayer called Halo Layout. And I'll change the color of that. Let's make it orange. Orange, but very light in color. And what is the length on this? 23.817. So I'm going to drop another line from midpoint. So all my shank stone layouts I put on that point. Let's do the halo layout here. And I think that was 23 millimeters. So I'm going to say 24 divided by 2. Just give it a little extra. It was 23, right? 23.8. Yeah. So it's just going to be a hair longer. And we'll take and put those onto Halo layout. All right. And then I'm going to insert my stone spacer proxy. And the size on this is going to be 1.3. Let's see where our seam is. So our seam is right there. So this endpoint will match with right there. And I think this is 12 stones. But sometimes, so when I'm doing a stone layout for a halo, I only like to lay out 1/4 of it. I don't like laying out the whole thing because then I have to adjust all these different stone sizes going around. So if I was doing a quarter layout, yeah. Okay. I only want 4 stones down here because it's very rare for you to have halo over 16. Usually it's 12. Sometimes it's 10 if they're big stones, but it's really rare to have a halo bigger than 16 unless you're using 1 millimeter stones like, 0.1 pointers. And I don't do that. So I'm going to make this template with 1.3s and 12 of them possibly going to 16. So I'm going to use 4. I'm going to offset this by 0. And I like to have 1/4 millimeter between my stones. So I'm going to say 0.13. And this will end up with 0.26 millimeters between stones. But I want to save this offset is tied to this stone. So if I resize this one, like going back to the example where if I make this a cushion shape, I want the stones to scale bigger in the corners, right? So I want each of these to be able to scale individually and the offsets scale individually. So I'm going to put that onto spacers. Spacers is unlocked for the moment. That's good. And then group this and copy and paste, and history failed to update one object. Update children is on. One block, one curve added. Okay. I'm going to copy that and then delete the original and paste. Why is history failing to update that? That doesn't make sense. Let's lock spacers. Drag that. Say offset 0.13. Okay. Grab that and do that. Will this move? It moves. Okay. That's a weird bug. I don't know why it wouldn't do it before. But same setup. Copy, paste. Okay, now it's working. Paste. 3, 4. And grab those. Say flow, curve, rigid. We want rigid. We want stretch. We want to go from this end. And then pick a target surface. This guy right here. And then the target curve, this right here. So now I can edit these over here and just have 4 there, which it looks like 1.3. We're not going to have enough. Turn the spacers off, or not turn them off, lock them. So I can grab these guys and have 4 blocks and say distribute. Spacing, I want 0.15 on the x-axis and get those equally spaced. And then I want to move this to be right there on that point. Oh, you know what? Let's, if we divide this, we can get kind of a guide for where the quarters are. So I'm going to divide that into 4 sections. I'm going to select those new points. I'm going to group them and then make a junk layer underneath here. We won't call it junk, we'll call it guide. Set that to white and lock it. Okay, so now we can see that for this to end up right there on that quadrant, scale 1D. So I can go from here to here, and now that stone will be right there on that quad with that stone on that quad by using these little guidelines. If I want it to be between stones, let's distribute this better. Distribute spacing 0.13 on the x-axis. Distribute spacing 0.13 x-axis. Is that not 0.13? 0.39. Sub-object select. It's picking up the whole group size. Damn it. Distribute. I did sub-object select to select not the whole group, but the blocks in the group, x-axis. And now will be 0.13, but it should have been 0.6 or 0.26. 0.26, x-axis. There we go. Now they're touching perfectly. Okay. So if we want this stone to be right here on this quad, we scale this line from there to there, and now it'll line up perfectly. Did I not do it? Scale 1D from here to there to there. Okay, so now it's right there on that quad. If we want it to be between a quad, you know, to have one on either side, we would scale 1D from here to here to here. And now if we put a stone on the other side, we'll have the exact same spacing as the rest of them. So 1.3 is, if this was a real job, what I would do is grab all of these guys and say scale off of here. And instead of 1.3s, I'd want to use 1.4s, right? Tighten up the spacing. So the size you want to go to, 1.4 divided by the size they are now, 1.3. Okay. And then I change that, scale 1D from there to there. And now I have almost touching, and I just need to move that to the other side. Then once I've done that, I make sure curves are off. I come over here to, let's see. We should group our control curves from the inside to the outside so we know what we're picking. So that is the inside group. I'm going to group those, and then I'm going to grab the outside group, which is those. I'm going to group those. So now I can turn on the points and say, all right, all of these guys, I'm going to relocate the gumball from there to there. And I went from a 1.3 to a 1.4, so I need to add 0.1. And now if we look, that's touching there. We've got 0.5 millimeter to the edge. You can grab that curve and check the length on it. Grab that curve, sub-object select, check the length on it. Okay, we got 0.5 millimeter from the edge of the stone over there. You see this little line right here? That's telling us where the edge of our stones are. Which is another thing. So if as you're scaling this, the edge of that lip is not going to stay 0.5. It will start scaling out, but just a little bit. You know, it might be 0.55 in the corners. If we take that halo and give it a cushion shape for a round stone, the corner will be like 0.55 thick on the edge, but nothing visible. Make this file way too complicated to make everything exact, but we'll make it close enough that the eye can't notice. All right, and this is probably where I would leave it. I have a little bit more stone spacing than I'd like, but it's the human eye won't be able to see it if this was a real file. But I want to go back to using 1.3s, so that was just an example. Undo. I want to put those groups back. Undo scale. Okay, copy paste history trick. Okay. I redid everything back to here. I'm going to go and undo just to where the groups were. I want those groups, right? So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to cut it. Can't cut it. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to grab all of this. I need to turn on everything. Sorry. Select everything about the halo. So the group this point, right where I group those right before I change the size. I want to undo the scaling that I did down here. Okay. I'm going to turn everything for the halo on. Make sure everything is visible. Everything is unlocked. I'm going to say select sub-object layers. Okay. And I'm going to turn lock children off and cut. Okay. All of that is gone. Now I'm going to undo until the point where I was scaling my stones back to a 0.13. Grab everything on halo. Actually, turn lock children off. Just delete this whole layer. Yes to all. Delete all of that and paste. I still have my history. These are grouped still. If I take and move this, I still have all my history. But I didn't have to go and regroup that. I think it took me longer to think of how to do it, but I know I made an edit and I didn't want an edit. So copy paste history, I can make a copy of something wherever that edit was and keep going, undo, and then get back there. I've got all my layers, everything worked out just fine. Okay, so this is where I want to keep it with 1.3 millimeter stones. We've got a 1.3 millimeter shelf because 1.3 is the most common size. All right, so that's the halo part of the template done. Now I need supports to go down to the base, right? So I want like a support. So that's right on the 45, but you know, depending on the width of the shank, I may want it, I want to split like the unsupported section of this halo. You know, if the shank comes to here, I want to divide this length into two. So usually that means that this support is going to be right about there. You want one on this side and one on that side. Taking this unsupported length and splitting it into two. So let's build our supports. I'm going to lock. Let's see, I want to lock or just turn off halo layout. These blocks, select blocked instance. Those I want to put onto stones blocks. So I can turn off all of this and not see, you know, I can turn off stones and just get rid of all the stones and all the stones layout just in one shot. That's why I'm going to start using this, I think. And then the halo, we can turn off control, roll up that, and lock the surface. And this would now go onto geometry if I was doing a real file, but because it's a template, I keep it under working so that once I finish editing it, as I drag it in, then I can, you know, promote it to, you know, finish geometry, save it over there. All right. So I need two things. I need basically a prong shape that is going to be the underside of this. And I need a way to build it out on an island and then get it onto here. For getting it onto here, we can just take a curve like this. And I'm going to bring that up. And then I'm going to call project to C-plane. And do not delete the input. Okay, so this will give me kind of a, I'm going to have one right on top of each other. This is my flow surf that this is going to go onto. So let's make a new layer so I can organize this as I go. Halo support. And for this, we'll make it, let's recolor that to like, I like that blue, maybe that kind of blue. And then we need to do the same for The same for this. Make it that kind of blue. I should have recolor layer. I should change the script to look for Halo support. And we didn't add our Z on there. Just in case we bring it in a file that has that layer name, it won't... I don't really need to say layout because this is under the stone layout section. So I'm just going to say Halo Z there. Okay. And then I need at least one more curve over here, but yeah, maybe I only need one. So I'm just going to take and do another curve like this. And then it needs to, our flow surface needs to get to there. So I'm going to say flow rigid from there to there. And I always lose this curve. Like when I'm using my Halo template, I always lose this curve. So I'm going to bring this up above the Halo so I can see it. And then just make a copy of it down here. So this is the one I edit, but this is the one I use. And then loft there to there to there. And we're going to do a loft loose. And that's inside out, so we're going to do loft to there. All right, that's right side out. You know, I did flow rigid, but I think... Do I really want it to be flow rigid? I don't think I do. Rebuild all of these. Rebuild degree 2. And then I just want to flow regular, not rigid. So that will, and that went to a 4, that went to a 4. Okay, let's make this degree 3, 4 then. Rebuild 3, 4. Okay. So now those match, and then we're going to loft. And that's not lining up quite right. So let's organize these onto... Let's duplicate this layer, duplicate layer, and call this control. So we have 2 control curves for this. That onto control, move that up, and make this a little bit brighter than the other one. Curves, well, these 3 are the curves. We don't edit those manually. So we're going to organize those onto curves. Oh, and I did the wrong one. Oh, that's going on curves. Duplicate layer, control. I'm going to leave that color. I'm going to make the curves darker. That's what I should do. Yeah. Okay, so this and this are the control curves. Halo support curves. I can turn this off to make sure that I got all of them. That goes on to, well, it's junk, but I'm going to put it onto curves because it doesn't matter. I'm going to put that onto surface. Okay, and then I can turn off curves and just work with the control. This goes on control. Turn off curves. Damn it. Okay, so now as I'm looking at this, I've got that kind of where I want it to be, but I didn't know, how much scaling was going to be on this. I need to view this, this, and this as I move this around. All right, it needs to be closer to the shank. This is the back side of this surface. That needs to go down to the base. That is a little too tall. Okay, and now we have our flow surface for this. I don't know if I quite like it. Okay, let's get the shape on here and then we can tweak it some more if we want. I think this is just, maybe it's too far in. That's what I'm not liking. Because our shank, I'm going to throw a dummy shank on here. We'll delete it in a minute, but file. So that's where it needs to join up with, and then needs to go up to support the halo all the way out to this corner. And this just seems like, it just seems weird. Why is that having such an impact on this shape? It's not loft loose. Delete. Loft. That one, and that one. Loose. There we go. Okay, that was the problem. I had loft normal. Okay, that goes on the surface. We don't need to see curves, just the control. Okay, so that's part one, having a way to get it, and now we just need to build something prong-like. I don't want the shank on here. Turn lock children off, delete that. The shank flow, delete that. Stones, shank flow, delete that. And that should be all of the shank stuff except this guy. Okay. So let's build out our kind of prongy layer. And for that, I'm going to do join copy biaxial degree 5. And we want to put this flat. I want uniaxial. There we go. Oop. I'm gonna rotate that flat. And then I kind of want to look at it like this. But, okay. Now we just need to find a place to build this island. We've got our stone layout there. We've got shank stuff there. Let's do right here. This will be our island for the supports. Scale that down because it really only needs to be like 1 millimeter. And then I need 3 shapes. So I'm going to copy that in the children. I'm going to copy, paste 1, paste 2. Honestly, I only need 2 shapes. Let's go with 3. Let's go with 3. Two will suffice. Two will suffice. Okay, so the top part of this, I want to be really fat. This, I want to be a little fat, and down where it gets to the finger, I want it to be kind of roundish. Let's put a control point on, and let's do tween that end and that end. Same thing down here. Tween that end and that end. Let's see what a loft loose looks like here. Oh, I need to have, let's just see what it looks like. Loft, this point, this curve, this curve, this curve, this point. And we're going to do a loose. Yeah, I need more control down here at this point and up here. So we're going to use a flow surface to get between where I want to be and where I am. So with the minimum, let's see, our scale location, we want the center of X, minimum Y, Z doesn't matter. And let's make this 3, 5, 4. And we'll copy, paste, copy, paste. We need one there, need one there. I'm just going to set the Z. Our next island, and I need one more of those there and one more of those there. And actually this support is never really more than, like, it needs to be 2.5 millimeters long usually. So I'm going to set a line, go down -3. break history. So this, we want to set the Z to that midpoint. This, we want to get close to there. Okay, so our top cap and that point. Flow surf, preserve structure there to there. This, flow surf, preserve structure there to there. There. Okay, now let's see how this looks. Loft, point, curve, 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 point. It's ugly, but I think that's what I want. Okay, so for Halo Support Z, I want to duplicate this layer and say Surf Profiles. And this is going to be Surf Contour. What's the length on this? Length 2.7. The length on this. Length 4.6. So let's do, let's just make it 2.7. What did I say it was? 4.6. Let's just make that a 4.6. That's fine. How fast we want it to get there and how slow. Okay, I think that's going to work. Let's organize everything else. That goes on to support curves. That goes on to control. One, two, three. That goes on to junk. That is our surface, which we'll put on junk for over here, and we'll put on surface over there, and these are curves. Okay, so I can turn curves off, junk off. Well, let me flow this, and then I'll turn junk off. All right, now this needs to go to there. This one has history, this one doesn't, and we need to make them match. So I'm going to look at this here and look at this here and say dir and see what our direction is. So first things first, our normals match. They're both pointing outward. So next mode, swap U and V. This one has V going this way, and U, V, the violet color, U, the ugly color, is going up. So we do need to swap this one. So that matches. Next mode, flip the U. The U's match, and the V. So the V is going that way. It's on V. Why is the U flipping? because I swapped UV and it got confused. It's a bug in the command. So I need flip V. Okay. So now if we look at it, next mode. What are we on? Normal? Normal's match. Next mode. Okay. Now they all match. So I can take this surface and say flow surf. And we can do preserve structure from there to there. And we've got this nice, big, ugly shape. So, and I'm wanting it to come up and hit here. I just over-exaggerated it as I was making it. So we can turn off all of our flows for a second. And we can grab this and scale that down. Which might be a good idea to group these so that when I grab them to scale, I'm going to hide that because I don't want to touch it. Group that and group that. Okay. So now when I grab this and scale, it'll scale the center point on that with it. Still poking through a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, so now it's just barely touching through. The one in the middle, we're going to scale that down. And we're having join copy issue where our seam is flipping. Let's see if I scale the bottom one. If that flips as well, come on, just flip with the rest of them. Flip, come on. Mirror, without copy. Okay, we're back. I have to edit this one on this side now, which is not a big deal. But we want it to come in as close to the inside of the halo because that's where our strength comes from, this backbone. You don't have a lot of strength out here, so if I didn't make this fat and join up here, we wouldn't have as much strength in this support as you think. And then if you want the front of it to be round and the back of it to be square, you can set Y to there, and you can give this more of a flat back and a round front. We want meat. We want metal on this thing because, you know, especially for a large halo, if it takes a ding out here, we don't want it to bend down. So it's okay if we take the front of these, set Y, and make them a little bit round, as long as we take the back of it and make those squared off. It flipped again. Son of a bitch. Flip. No. Well, if I mirror this to there, and then mirror this, I need to grab that whole group and mirror that to there. No. Flip. Oh, this one's fine. It's just the last one. Flip. What the? So the flip is happening. Select children. Oh, that's all the way up there. We're fine, we're fine, we're fine. We're not fine. So it's the bottom one that needs to flip. But that does nothing now. Mirror without copy. There to there. And then flip it. Oh, because because it was in a group with a point, it wouldn't let me flip, would just say okay and then do nothing. Oh, that's frustrating because this is grouped with that point saying flip. It goes okay, but it doesn't do anything. But if you actually sub-object select the curve and flip, then it actually flips. That is really frustrating. Again, I'm not going to worry about this too much because I don't care if I edit this like this. That doesn't much make a difference to me. You know, that doesn't bother me that much. This guy at the base, I may make him a little bit wider. So it gets... Oh, I never put this onto surf, did I? Set layer, surf. May make the base a little bit wider and tighten that up. Come on, really? Why is this one having such a hard time with flips? I built them individually. Did I not? Or did I copy paste? I copy pasted. Let's grab all of those and make sure that they are sitting on this X line. Let's make sure that these are all sitting on the same Y. And now we have 3 different. Flip. Mirror. God bless it. So now we're back to them all. I'm going to try and get this fixed this week. This is just such a waste of time on such a wonderful command, and I don't imagine it's that hard of a fix. There's just the difficult part is he either has to change the command line, which is like a big no-no in McNeil terms. Once they get a command line set, they don't want to change a command line because people that have scripted macros and people that have developed scripts, but I think I'm the only person in Rhino that uses this command and they can change the interface. So that's one. 2, I've got like 3 different options for him if he wants to not change the interface. But it's very difficult to do without changing the command line interface. So I'm going to give him 4 options, like hard to easy, with hard being actually really, really useful for us. This guy looks like we could just rotate him just a hair. All right. So now that's coming in and meeting right there. So we get like a good amount of vertical strength. This is not, this metal right here is not attached to this bottom vertically. It's attached at a horizontal. It's much weaker to support. But it will be good for printing. That'll be a good 3D printing support. So we just make it wide and fat like that. I can bring this down just a hair and bring it back in just a hair. Align to object, drag in just to there. And so now if we're looking at it, you know, from this edge, we'd have to rotate this around to see exactly where it is. Rotate off of 0, project there to like there. So now if we're looking at this, there is no gap. So this will not be an island. This will not be an island. It'll be a 3D printing support. It'll be a stability support, structure support, all in one. Okay, so that can go in the trash. All right, let's, I think that's all I want for the Halo template. What is this? What is this doing way out here? Oh, that's weird. I'll delete it. Okay, let's turn everything on. Expand sublayers. Grab everything. Unhide, unlock, show all, unlock all. And here's where I'm going to say save. Save as and overwrite our whip from yesterday. Okay. We need to get rid of things that come in the base layer, which is 0. Do we have anything on 0? Select objects. It's just those 2 curves. That should be 1 curve. Delete that. Select objects. We have 1 curve. Is that curve? Oh, that is our thickness on our halo. Yes. Good. I almost deleted that. Layout. Grandpappy, gone. Make sure lock children is off. Good morning, Arturo Martin. Base layer, that can go away. So the only thing left in here should be this. Let's do a purge. So now the only block in this file should be block manager, should be our proxy, which never gets updated. So we won't have a pop-up saying, do you want to update your blocks? All right, now what do we want to see when this file first comes in? I think, let's go through this. Don't really want to see children or guides for stones. We can turn off the whole stone layout at first until we figure out, you know, what we want to size everything to, or we can leave it on. I don't mind seeing the stones. They don't bother me. They don't get in the way. The guides we want locked for our scaling. Spacers we want locked. We never want our spacers unlocked. Okay, so we'll leave stones on. Blocks will be clickable. Spacers will not. Halo Z, we always want our guides visible but locked. Okay, for this one, the Halo supports, we never want to see curves. We really don't need to see that surface contour. Like if we just use our control curves, we can make slight edits to things. And then if something's looking wonky, we can go back and say, all right, well, what does this look like? but I generally don't need to see that. Just the control, the surface profiles, generally don't need to see that, only if you want to change how quickly this shape is tapering from the round bottom to that chunky, to the chunky top, so we connect right there. So 50-50 whether we ever want to even see our surface profiles. I'm going to move that down because that's more likely to be usable than this one. And we can roll that up and turn that off for when we first bring in the file. For the halo, we never really need to see the junk. We never need to see the curves. We want our surface, and we want the control. For these supports, never need to see the junk. Well, maybe if this thing flips on us. The curves we can lock so we can kind of visualize where they are. And then the surface. But I would turn that off until I get this into place. I would turn those off until I get the halo built how I want, and then I'd progress down to there. So this is what I would want to see when I first bring this into a file, is that. So we will frame it, and we will do, make sure we did a purge, but I just want to make sure we do one more. Okay. Save as, and this is going to be R7 Halo. We've got biaxial symmetry here, so it's not going to work with a pair that has uniaxial symmetry. And then this is going to do any round-ish shape, including a princess with soft corners. If they want hard corners, we're going to have to do something else, but princess with soft corners, it will do. All right, I think save small, save, and there's our halo. So let's do a new file and grab our halo template. Import file. Can we cancel? What am I doing? Turn the points on for this. Can we edit this? Yes, we can. Can we grab all of this and make sure lock children is on and move that up? Yes, we can. Can we redo this stone spacing, scale 1D off of that snap to that snap? Yes, we can. Let's visualize our supports, go to the support structure and drag this up, and it's touching. Can we edit these curves? Points on, grab all these and just make them wider. And the whole thing became wider. Okay, so we don't need our whip. The template saved everything with history. We are good, so now we can just go and say new file. Don't save that. Open our template, and next up, that is down. So these heads, it's pretty much the exact. I should have done these while I was doing the bezels, because they're basically the same thing, just with 2 rails instead of 1 rail. So I'm gonna pause here for a restroom break. So give me 5 minutes to run to the bathroom and get a drink of water, and then we'll just grab the bezel templates that we did and change them over to, we should do the prongs first because we will need prongs when we do a head. We'll do prongs, and then we'll grab those bezel templates and just swap them over to prong set basket template. And then centerline cutter and figure out if we're going to use the way that I was using Cathedral or a different way. So, all right, 5 minutes and we will get back to Okay, so I'm going to try and knock out these three in the next, or these four in the next hour. So let's get started with prongs first, and I generally build prongs somewhere down here. I'm going to import, and for this I like uni-axis symmetry, degree 5. So I'm going to bring that one in, and we can rotate that down, rotate that over, and we're going to move that base point over to some island out here, and flip that around so our we can just take this and mirror without copy no. Okay, let's make sure that these are all sitting on this plane, and this can come in a little bit, this can come down, and those can come up. And then let's scale this down. Let's put in a guide rail here. So for a prong, if I'm putting a prong in, let's just make it 1 millimeter so it's easy to scale next time. So I'm going to make this a 1 millimeter prong, and we'll move that from there to there. We'll make it taller. We'll just get it way out of the way up here and put that on layer 0. Okay, so we have a 1 millimeter prong on layer 0 that is just going to be our guide. And then we can scale this down from here to there. And now we have a 1 millimeter-ish prong. And let's say this is the side of the prong that's facing the stone. So we want that to be a little bit more squarish. And this is the back side of the prong facing away from the stone. So we can make that a little more roundish. And I don't want to see that, so I'm going to hide it. Okay, so that would be our template 1 millimeter prong. And probably want 3 profiles, just like we did for the support. I want it to have kind of a square shape up here. I might want to do a V-shaped prong with this, which means adding some more control points and bringing this in. But for the bottom, I want it to be kind of, I'm going to copy, I don't want to turn off Grandpappy. Okay, we're going to copy that and paste, and then we're going to put this other copy down here. We also need a control point. Control point, turn off project, and say, give me a center snap on here. Come on. We'll use this one. And then set Z to there, and set Z with copy to there. And we can break history on that so it moves freely in the future. So this one, I want to kind of match the round shape of this. So I'm going to turn those points on. And let me, 0 is unlocked. So let me rebuild this as, how many points do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So rebuild this as degree 5, 10. Okay. And then we need to rotate this 90. And we can lock 0. Turn points on, then lock 0. Okay. Now we've got our guides, set XY to there, to there, to there. Okay, so now we've got a round bottom, kind of a squared off front facing top, and we need a in-between shape. So let's see if tween curves will work. Give us one tween curve, and then turn on that, and we'll do this flow rigid there to there. And then it's easier if I move this up. Let's make our working layer here prongs Z, and we'll put that onto the junk and turn that off. So up here, we want to mirror with copy. Take those and call join copy. Select new, curve through poly, degree 5. Flow this back, flow rigid from there to there. And then grab that, group it, put it onto junk. Come over here and let's organize this stuff. So all of that and the points in the center, that is our control. Set layer control. This side is our curves. Set layer curves. And now we need to flow these profiles some way. So I'm going to make a rectangular plane. Let's do 2 by 2. Move this up to there. And I need 3 here and 5 over there. So copy that to there. Break history on it. And because I did tween, this will always be between these two. So if like I move this up, that will change as well. So there is a tween surface, tween surfaces, and I can say give me 1. And then that will always be where that is. So surf, let's duplicate this for our layout. Duplicate layer. And this is going to be profiles. And this will be surf contour. Set layers, profiles. I want to copy this, paste it, and then move it. Let's say -5 +5. Okay, so we can just have this all kind of right here. I need 1 for the prong cap. I need 1 for the middle. And then copy paste for the bottom. Let's break history on all these. And give us a little room so we select the right things. Turn control off. Oh, I need the points. So I'm going to flow surf with preserve structure in case I just want to slightly scale but keep the same shape. Do that. Preserve structure to there. Preserve structure to there. What's that point? Nope. Easier if you grab the point first, then grab the curve. Preserve structure to the bottom. Okay. Now we loft from the point, curve, 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 point. And we do not have... Why? This should be the same as that because it was a copy paste. This one we did by hand and got there. This one. Okay, so we're going to grab our top layer curve and say, you know what, that's bullshit though. Because that tween works. Low rigid. There to there. Mirror with history. Across there. Grab both of those. Join copy. Select the new thing. Oh. Select the new thing. Curve through polyline, degree 5. Curve seam N. Okay, that little script that I put in the form the other day. We're going to do this, make it go fast. Okay, we're going to do each of these individually, and then I think it should give us the same curve seam for some reason. So we're going to mirror it and then grab both the mirrors and do join copy. Then we're going to grab the last thing created, which was the join copy, do curve through polyline, degree 5. Then we're going to grab it and it's going to want to flow back to there. So we just need a way of seeing both of those surfaces at the same time, and I have that here and here. So I'm going to grab this and run it. And there to there. Grab this one, run it. There to there. Grab this one, run it. There to there. Okay. Now let's do a curve seam N. Let's try doing all of them at the same time. All those start and go in the same direction. Literally doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, and it just is flipping the scene. So I'm going to save out this from my bug report. I don't need those. Save that for my bug report, export. These two are working together. So we'll just do this like we did before, that script. This one is not working together. So let me try and click this side, then this side, then call join copy. This side, then this side, then call join copy. Curve seam. Undo join copy. Let's grab this side, then this side, and call join copy. So that's not making a difference. Can't flip this because I used tween curve to get this in between one, which sucks. This top one, this point, and this point. This one's on this side. So it's farther. This one's closer. This one's farther. Let's look at this one and this one. It's farther away from that point than, well, hold on. Measure distance from there to there. That's 329. There. To there. 323. That one's closer. This one to that one. 307. This one to that one. 322. Wait. All right, we're going to watch this while we play with this top one. Points on. So if we move this closer, doesn't change. Move it farther away, doesn't change. Move it in, move it out. We flip the one in the middle. So the one in the middle, what changed? It passed this point. So if we bring this up, that's not changing. I don't see a pattern here. Like this one particular spot, it's they're all doing fine. But a hair this way or a hair that way. Wait, middle's flipped. Bottom is flipped. They match, but I can't. It's unstable. It's unstable. So that's not having any effect. It's just where the mirror would happen. No fucking way. Where the mirror happens affects this. Is it stable? Okay, let's get it to flip. Flip. Okay. Does this affect it? Yes. So it's just random. Okay, well, uh, that is nice to know that I can just make it do weird stuff just by where I place this. So I have an extra thing to try and like play with to keep what I've got going. Okay, so I'm just going to move that to a random place until that starts acting right, which is stupid and asinine, but we've got those all flowing back, so I want to group that. But I want to group that, group that, group that. All those are going on to junk. Let's see, these guys going on to curve. Okay. The points are already flowed, so I just need to blow the curves back. Flow surf, preserve structure there to there. Oh. And now we can loft this. And then we need to have it be put in place somehow. So let's see. Contour. And what I like to have is 3 curves that control the prong shape on one side. So I'm going to say let's do 3mm. No, let's do 2.5. Let's do 2. It's never going to be thicker than 2. Rebuild this 1, 2, or 3, 2, and copy, paste, paste, and loft. Loose. Okay. So that is going to go on to surf profiles. No, surf contour. I'm going to copy this, paste it, turn off lock children, and turn excuse me, turn lock children back on. Okay, so these are going to go onto the prong flow curves. And then this guy. Okay, so this is going to be the front of our stone. We're going to move him from this point to this point. And I want to scale it. Scale 1D from there down to there. We can actually make it a little bit taller. I don't know why. I like having it a little bit taller. I can't explain why. So I want to set this Z to there and this Z to there. So now that'll match. And we can take this, and again, I want to flow surf with preserve structure from there to there. Both of these are on our contour, and this is how we control the contour. This middle row of control points, I want to be closer to the top. This middle row, I want to be closer to the top. Because we tend to bend the prong more after the stone. We want it kind of vertical right here. Points on. Set XY to there. Set XY to there. Set XY to there. So this bending will mostly, this will kind of stay straight. Do I have enough control points for this? Flow normal work better. Okay, move that back to where it was. Let's do a flow normal. A loft normal, excuse me. Curve, curve, curve. Normal. Okay, and flow this onto there. So flow surf, preserve structure, there to this guy. This isn't matching up, but I think normal is the way to go. So I'm going to undo hiding that and just delete this one. Oop. Delete this one and this one. That is the right one. Delete. And then we can take a look at, do a dir on these. So this is the one with history that I need to match. And I think, so this normal needs to flip. Next mode, U and V's are right. Next mode, flip U. That needs to go down. Next mode, flip V. That's correct. Okay, so here's our squared off top. Here's our round bottom. This needs to be a little tighter up. Maybe we don't preserve structure here. Maybe we just flow. Flow surf there to there. That way it'll match this. Oh, I had preserve structure on. Flow, surf, preserve structure off there to there. So now it'll match that inside curvature. Okay, I think that's what we want to do. That goes onto contour. That goes onto prong surf. Prong surf. That goes onto junk. Oh, this is another way I can jiggle this. I can take all of these. And rotate it. Let's see if this breaks the seam. That does break the seam. And then I've got this I can jiggle to try and get it back. And if history's taking too long, you say lock children no, cut. And then you can do this without having all those histories update. Lock children back on, rotate. 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 One of these has got to be the key, right? Yay. We fixed it by doing nothing. And then paste that back in. And you just grab all this and say history update. And you just cut it out and throw it back in whenever. But we can jiggle this back into shape. Until I get the bug fix for this, we can jiggle it back into shape. That's the important thing. Okay, so I'm going to grab these, and we are going to move that, move from there to 0, and then we'll deal with it up here. Rotate this off of 0 from here to a 45. Bring that up. And then move from 0 out to like there. And now that's set up ready to meet up with a stone. So weird. So weird. I'm not going to need to, I'm going to skip, the whole save as whip stuff. I just need to delete this. This we don't need to see until we need to jiggle to get everything to come back. Let's purge. Come into this file. What do we want to see? 0 should be locked. Prongs. The contour, we don't need to see that surf. We just need to know that these curves are how we edit that align to object. Yeah, that's align to object. We need to see those for, putting that into space. We don't need to see junk. We don't, we can see curves, but we'll lock them. Okay. That's how we want it to look when it comes in. And I like to have my prongs layer to be a dark blue because people look at dark things less than they look at light things. And I don't want them to focus on how big or how tall the prongs are if I ever have to show this to somebody. So dark blue or blue. Okay, we make it small for a picture. Save as. And this is going to be R7 dot prong. Save small. Okay, I need to knock these out pretty quick. File new. I want to grab my bezel emerald cut template. We're going to drag that in, import file. Okay, we are going to delete this surface. We are going to change that. I need to see the curves. Those can all go away. Delete those. The magic mirror stuff can... No, that's all got to go. Those can stay because they're going to be the same ones as over here, but those need to go because we got to redo those shapes. So I'm going to delete those. Let's throw in a emerald cut stone. Emerald cut 6mm. We're going to plop that onto that island. Okay. That's on that midpoint. So let's make straight up till we get that resting on that edge. Okay. And then that can Okay, so we need a couple of things. We're making a head for this. We would kind of want it to be on a bezel. I usually just cut out the bottom. I'm saying like if this was on a ring. If this was on a finger like this, I would want to make that bottom rail match that. For a bezel, I usually just trim it out because it's too tough to make a bezel match on the base. Not until blend surface fixed. When blend surface fixed, we'll have a new way of doing this. But as long as blend surface is broken, we really, really have to really in the woods trying to figure out a different way of doing it. So I kind of liked my old head template. Head emerald cut. This is the old way I did it. I don't want to bring it in there because I don't want to contaminate. But I will make this bigger so you guys can see. Okay, so what I did, I had that, the base of it. Let's do history update all. Okay, so I could have had that sitting on the base surf. This is the old way I did prongs. They're all scuffed. We can delete those because we don't need to know how the prongs were done. So we got an arc that matches the finger, and then we've got... Okay, so I didn't do dog ears for the base. I just took that bottom rail, project, threw it onto here. Okay, I can do that. And that's a mirror. That is just a loft from side to side. All right. I like that. I like that. Why did I build this going that way? That's kind of weird. Not that it matters, but that is kind of weird that I would build the head going sideways. Okay, I got a game plan. And unfortunately, this is probably the last one I'm going to be able to do today because I have to go, I think. Um, so I need a curve down here going this way. That needs to flow, not rigid, not preserve structure onto there. Okay. So that is going to match my base. I also need From this view, I need to make a, let's do a 0.9 millimeter circle and then rebuild this to be, let's do 5, 10. Okay. Set Y to there, set Y to there, set Z, set Z, size on this, oh, that'd be 0.9. 0.9, move this up until it's, did we snap a midpoint? Yep, okay, move that up to, is that the curve? Yes, okay. So this we want to flow rigid to there. We want a plane up here. Let's just try it with a 45. We might need to change it. We need a plane, break history, drop this down a little bit, make sure we catch everything. Slide that back, kind of center it on there. And then we're going to say project loose. Project loose is broken for poly curves, but this is a single curve. So project loose is going to work for that one. And you see how fat and wide we made it. That is going to flow rigid from there to there. Okay. So now we need a sweep one. Sweep one from there to there. We mirror this around, do a quad mirror. Do we do a quad mirror or do we use our magic mirror? Because there is a chance that we might want to rotate this down and like have an emerald cut side stone. So I don't think we use quad mirror. I think we use our magic mirror. But how would that work? If we're over here, we would need that magic mirror to rotate with it. We do have that. We can take all of this, put it from this island directly up to here. And then if we rotate it around, our magic mirror will rotate with it, and that can go that away. I like building these things on islands and then putting them into place. I don't like having all this construction right here. Because if we do rotate it around, then that's just a pain in the ass. So how would this work? We would have some kind of curve like this. Flow rigid from there to there. And I want to copy that, paste it, set XY to here. So now I can take and flow curve rigid without stretch from this base point to this base point and get that to here. Then do my magic mirror stuff, flow rigid there to there. Do all the mirroring. Is there a way that I can just have the whole thing and not need all these mirrors? Yes. All I have to do is take that point. Right now, take that point over there. Move that from the midpoint. Snap that on there. Move that. What got left behind? Oh, that was a construction curve. Can't use a mirror. Flow rigid without stretch from there to there. Delete that. So that gives us our shape. We take this. That. We just need some space down here. That curve. Come find this view. Say project loose onto both of those surfaces. Oh, but it's not angled anymore. Oh, I was so close. Does that matter? Yes, it matters. This needs to be angled out. Oh. Okay. Low rigid stretch there to there. And now is that angled appropriately? Not the way it should be. But we do have, okay, here's what we do. Flow rigid, stretch, this curve, that base surface to there. Now we get the angling that we need for sweep one. Oh, why is that seam? Okay, it wasn't on natural. Okay, now we can mirror across here, which is what we want. So mirror across the Y, and then we are 2 lofts away from having this bottom rail figured out. Matches. That matches. Group that up. We already got a group, so we're going to say add to group there. That is our bottom rail. And we can put this down here where we can see it in relation to the stone. So we can pull these guys in, and that will make it narrower up here. Aha. This needs to flow rigid, no stretch from that base to that base. These guys need to come in more. Wait, will that affect because it's flow curve? So it's that curve that affects how tightly in that is. I don't like that. Low, rigid, no stretch. There to there. So there to there. Low, rigid, stretch, there. Target surface there, there. So now if we're looking at this, it's hanging over the edge, but if we move it in, let's move it in so this edge, so this edge, doggone it. Tab lock this way until we get to there. And then when we look at this one and draw a line straight down, yes. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Now we do the sweep one. Sweep one, natural. God, why is natural just not the default? Oh, because there's automatic. And they wanted automatic to be the default. It's just automatic gets it wrong so much. Okay, I clicked on the wrong things. By the way, this is my last one. I've run out of time for today. I've got to do some stuff. So this is the last template for the day. There to there. Natural, okay. There to there. Okay. And these two we add to group. Okay, there we've got emerald base that's following the finger rail. These two need to go on. Well, right now it's called bezel. These two, group those. Chunk. We need a, let's make a new layer. This is bezel EC. We need bezel head. It's onto surf. That goes on to curves. Wait, where'd the curves go? I hid them. That goes on to curves. That is junk. That is control. Junk. That is surf. Layer under this for junk. Select sub-layer objects, one curve added. Where is that curve? Out here. What in the world is this curve? Delete it. Select sub-layer objects, nothing added. Okay, so we trash that and trash that. Now we can turn this all back on. Okay, so there's our base. Now we need to do our side profile. I had to do this one this way because it bends this way. I can't have it on this side, I don't think. And we don't need the dog ears, we just need the corners. So now let's look at this from this way. I'm going to put a line down here. I want it to be 0.15 over the girdle and minus 0.3 below the girdle. Okay, so this is going to be the outside edge of this rail. So I will do a curve. Let's hit that corner. And then as we get close to over here, we need to make it really sharp. So we'll give that 3. We want to follow this down. And we want to be like a millimeter below. So I'm going to do an O snap there and get down to about a millimeter. Put one there too. Inside curve, we need a outside curve. And we can make this more like this if we want. Insert control point. Yes, okay, mids is on. So that will be our bulge, and this will be to tuck under. That's good enough. Delete that. Right, delete that. This goes onto control. Set the Y down to there. Turn on our projections, and we are going to project. We can project loose because this is a single curve, not a poly curve, and it won't be bugged. We flow that rigid from there to there. Take both of those over to magic mirror, flow rigid there to there. Take these 3 back, flow rigid from there to there. And then all of these group onto junk. All of them except this one go onto curves. And then we loft. Loft. Straight sections. Closed. Okay. There's our surface. Low. Rigid. No stretch. To there. And we got our head. Do I want to include prongs in this? Yeah, probably. Tuck these in a little bit, probably. I grab all of this. I grab all of this and move it. What gives? Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that later because I gotta go. Is update children off? Okay. Now it's working. No idea what was happening there. But now I can make that tuck in a little bit, and if it's too wide in the front view, I can grab this guy and move him in and have that shape up. So generally make this orange. Grab our prongs that we just did and bring that in, import file. And then this and this. Relocate gumball like that. Grab those. We want to come over to this corner. You know, I'm going to bring all of these, lock yes, bring all of these up so I can see it a little bit better until we get done. Wait, what did I do? Set XY to there. Set XY to there. Set XY to the mid. Maybe this is how I should have the prong in the template. Like bring it in. Then I can just take and move this in. If I want to give it a little bit of a rotation, that's fine. Have it hit that corner. So that's pretty much on the corner, but these two are not on. Move from this point to the midpoint and then rotate it that. So it's facing that dog ear. And then for emerald cuts, we generally do why are these profiles on? I just want the top one. So first things first, I want to make these 1.1 millimeter. So I'm going to scale 2D. They start out at 1. The size we're going to, 1.1 divided by 1. Did I do that right? 1.1 divided by 1. Okay. And then we generally use tab prongs. So these guys, let me grab the base. Well, the base can stay the way it is, the top. Top, I want to scale a little flatter. And like take that and make it just need to lock those so I quit accidentally grabbing them. This is kind of in the middle. And then this. Using a control point. That should look more like a dog ear prong going to a round at the base. And then this is just a little bit too tall. And our midpoint, let's so this was a tween curve. Unlock. That was a tween curve. I'm going to turn lock off to break history on it. And just kind of get out of it being a bar a little quicker. So only the top of it is kind of bar shaped. Okay. Should have put that here so I could do the mirror down here and then put it back up there. But I'm out of time. This is where we're going to save it. Let's see. Delete stuff that came from the parent file. That's all trash. Actually, save as. I'm going to save a whip version of this. Then put that in the trash. Put Grandpappy in the trash. And the rest of this should be for this file. Purge. Save as. And this is going to be Rhino 7 dot head dot emerald cut. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave it there because I've got to run. I didn't turn off layers I don't want to see. I didn't clean up, but for another day. You guys got any questions before I take off? No. Okay. Well, I am going to get out of here then. Didn't get as far as I wanted. Maybe one day after work this week, I'll finish up these that I need to do. But I've got a couple of I've got too much to do today. I can't stay anymore. I should already be gone. We'll finish these later. So I'll have to add this is day 2 of 3. Oh Jesus. All right guys. Talk to you later.